Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. Now, Electricity Minister Dr. Newzroom Afrika says non-paying municipalities are eroding Eskom's bottom line. As of the end of last year, the power utility was collectively owed over 60 billion rand. Ramokgopa was giving his weekly update on the state of the power grid yesterday. Now, at the same time, Gauteng Premier Panyaza Lesufi says the provincial government is planning to end load shedding come January next year. For more on this, the Premier joins us via our video link. Premier Panyaza Lesufi, thanks very much indeed for your time. It's great to have you on the program this Monday morning. Clarity question up first. Are you being quoted correctly? You reckon you can end load shedding by next year?
Thank you so much, Ayan, and thanks for the opportunity. I think it's a misunderstanding of our commitment. We just held last week an energy summit or an electricity summit that involves community organization, municipalities, councillors, business people, and the provincial government, just to determine how best can we be ready if load shedding is eliminated, because there are communities that are still without electricity, and they will be without electricity if load shedding is eliminated. Which simply means there are more close to, according to the report that we received, 1,200 transformers that are not working in various communities. So even if you can lift load shedding tomorrow, these communities will be without electricity. Actually, they've been without electricity for the last 3 to 4 years. So we committed ourselves by the 1st of January, these communities will be connected. That will do everything within our powers to replace the transformers. We'll do everything within our powers to ensure that the mini stations that have blown are repaired. We'll do everything within our powers to ensure that even the cables that have been stolen come January, those cables need to be replaced. But within that context, because you know the management of load shedding is a national competence. But within that commitment, we also committed that the power stations that are non-functional or they were closed in our province, we've got 2 within Johannesburg, we've got 1 in Ekurhuleni, and we've got another 1 in Tshwane. We are moving with speed to ensure that they come and join the main grid and they are repaired by the end of January next year. So those are the commitments that we've made. But we didn't say as a province alone we will end load shedding, but we'll do everything to contribute to the ending of load shedding. Sure. I hope it clarifies matters.
Yes, and it's an important thing to clarify because it's very different, right? Nonetheless, it's still quite the undertaking. I mean, the kind of commitment you've made now has plagued this province for years, if not decades. How are you planning to get this right? Because not only are you going to be up against criminality, which is what we understand underpins some of the damage to infrastructure, but there's a huge financial burden to this as well.
Well, I think we're blaming each other. For example, local government will claim that residents are not paying. Residents will blame local authority on the basis that they're switching them off and they're not repairing the transformers that are blown or stolen. And Eskom will blame local authorities that they are owed by local authorities and therefore they can't be in a position to. So we are stepping in as a provincial government, not only to be a referee, but to be a coordinator. I'll give you one practical example. You go to Dobsonville now, they've not accessed electricity for quite some time, I think almost since the beginning of this year. Because Eskom says before they can fix the transformers, that each and every house must pay 6,000 rand. And me and you, we know the level of unemployment. Me and you, we know the number of people that are old in those communities. So if you expect each house to give you 6,000 rand before you can fix a transformer, it means that those families will stay without electricity. So we are stepping in then as a department to say, Eskom, it's fine. We will fix it as a provincial government. Through City Power, we'll ask City Power to fund the replacement of those transformers without communities paying. In return, we are also strengthening what we have just alluded to, which is security. We have appointed young people that are police wardens. We've given them the necessary tools of trade like cars, weapons, to now start to patrol those strategic areas, which simply means we've killed 2 birds with 1 stone. We are replacing the transformers, but at the same time, we're ensuring that those transformers are also not stolen. So this is the kind of intervention that we're making as the provincial government.
What's your response, Premier, to people who are worried that this will set the wrong precedent, that people will deliberately renege on paying their debt with the hopes that a Panyaza Lesufi will come to the rescue at some stage?
Well, the debt management, fortunately, we've campaigned for it. The national government has agreed to it, which is heartwarming. We've lobbied national government to say, you can't scrap the debt of ESCOM nationally, and ESCOM does not scrap the debt of those people that owe them. It does not work that way. If national government has scrapped the debt of ESCOM, or found a mechanism to manage the debt of ESCOM, ESCOM must also find a way of managing the debt of municipalities. So in that same seminar, we agreed that there are almost 5 municipalities that are under serious distress in Gauteng. And fortunately, 3 of those distressed municipalities have made an application to ESCOM, and ESCOM has agreed, with conditions obviously, to scrap their debt so that they can be in a position to be debt-free. And in doing so, there are commitments that they need to commit themselves, which simply means they must pay the current account every day, migrate to prepaid metering system, and ensure that they service other debts that they have. So we are making progress there. So it's not that we are scraping the debt for the sake of scraping it, but we are managing it. Because if you can't, it will be a cycle that will be endless, because this debt is emanating from close to 5 to 10 years. So we must intervene and find a way of ending it.
Sure. I just want to make sure that we don't misquote you here, Premier. Are you saying that ESCOM has now agreed to do away with that debt? Did I hear that right?
Yeah, there is a waiver to municipalities across the country, not in Gauteng alone. We are taking advantage that we've got that pressure in Gauteng, and each and every municipality have been given a deadline until May this year to submit their proposals. All our municipalities in Gauteng have submitted their proposal. Only 3 received a response. We are waiting for other municipalities to receive a response from ESCOM. And we are glad that municipalities like Mfuleni, which owes ESCOM 7 billion, ESCOM has agreed with them to say the proposal that they put on the table, that if they can adhere to that proposal, their debt will be waived. We also have Rand West municipality, local municipality. They've also received a waiver on the basis of the proposal that they've given to ESCOM, and we are pushing other municipalities, especially Tshwane and Ekurhuleni, to enter that particular space. And if they do that and they receive those waivers, then we know this municipality's debt will be waived, and we can be in a position to concentrate on the day-to-day payment that need to be made by these municipalities.
That's also something very important to hone in on, Premier. In what ways are you hoping to better manage the situation so that this debt is not accumulated again? Because I imagine there's an argument that can be made that the economic standing, the financial books of those municipalities are where they were before this debt was accumulated, if not in a worse off position.
That is why the summit we took a very important decision, Ian. The first one, between the month of September and December, anyone that is illegally connected must be disconnected. And those that are illegally connected and want to formally connect must be encouraged to formally connect. That is very, very important to us. Because if you can't remove illegal connections, then we are just recycling the problem. I'll give you a practical example of Mfuleni. They buy electricity of 100 rand, but only 40 rand goes to community. 60 rand is lost in the process. So it's lost in the process due to illegal connection. So in that particular summit, we agreed between now and September and end of December, we'll run a communication awareness campaign. Everyone that is illegally connected, you are given 3 months to formalize yourself. And if you have not formalized yourself by the end of December, we'll indeed remove you. Secondly, we are migrating all businesses and all households in Gauteng into a smart prepaid meters, which simply means we are not going to have a headache where people say, I'm charged more than I'm using. I'm not at home, my children are at school, but I'm overcharged. So we'll have a prepaid meter system that you can monitor. To us, that's very, very important. Thirdly, those who are unemployed, those that are elderly, must now register formally afresh to be in the indigent register so that no one hides behind the poor. So we've given everyone to start that process now in September until December so that everyone who's unemployed, you are poor or you are elderly, you can be in a position to register as an indigent individual, so that we don't have anyone that is going to hide behind the poor. Fourthly, which is very, very important to us, is to ensure that those that can afford to pay must pay. And then we are going to change those that must pay so that we can. So if we can do that across Gauteng, not across one municipality, simultaneously across Gauteng, we really believe we'll safeguard the grid and we'll have electricity flowing into the houses of our people and possibly contribute to the ending of load shedding.
Yeah, I mean, if these are going to result in material change, Premier, there has to be very stringent timelines. When are you hoping to get that done?
That's what I'm saying, from the 1st of September. We've met all municipalities except those municipalities that didn't attend our issues, one municipality. But all 10 out of 11 municipalities attended our session. All business business organizations attended our session. Community organizations that are organizing around electricity attended our session. All our ward councillors attended our session. So we are ready to implement this decision. There is a team that reports to me weekly on progress on these matters, and we are hopeful that we'll be in a position to crack it. Because if you can't do that, then we'll recycle the problem and complain about the problem for life. I really believe we stand a better chance come the 1st of January next year to have tangible results that can relieve the pressure on the grid here in Gauteng.
What's your response to the skeptics among us who are taking this renewed enthusiasm around this long-standing issue as nothing but political expediency ahead of next year's elections?
They'll run out of excuse at one stage because it's a commitment. If people don't want to think and people don't want to resolve problems, they just want to accuse people and point fingers that this is political expediency. We are politicians, we're in offices. Should we drink tea and biscuit in those offices and not do our work because we'll be accused of political expediency? I'll rather be accused of political expediency when I'm doing my work rather than drinking tea in my office.
Yeah, I suppose, Premier, the point is that these are long-standing issues and there are questions around why any of this, which seemingly can be implemented, as you mentioned, by the 1st of September, wasn't done so years ago in a context where, again, we've been dealing with these issues for some time.
I'm 8 months in office. 8 months in office. So accuse me of what I'm capable of doing within 8 months. I'm 8 months in office.
But the government that you're a part of, or the governing party that you're part of, Premier, is one you haven't been part of for 8 months. I'm sure at the very least, you weren't an agent without agency, even in the different roles that you've played.
I am the government that I have the honor to lead, and the government that I have the honor to represent as well, through the political party that has mandated me, have resolved on 3 critical issues. That we must end load shedding, we must fight crime, we must create jobs in our province. And I'm executing that mandate. Whether it's political expediency now or any other matter, the responsibility lies on my shoulders, and I have all the pride to represent this movement or this organization and to lead this government that I have the honor to lead at all times, within the shortest possible time that I've been assigned this task, to ensure that all these matters are resolved. We are creating jobs in our province. Thus far, almost 26,000 young people that were unemployed 8 months ago, they are employed now in our province. We've unleashed the highest level of investment in fighting crime in this particular province. And we've identified the issue of energy as something that will end the economic powerhouse, which is Gauteng, if we don't intervene. And we are intervening in the manner that we are intervening. People will always accuse you. If you do it, we are damned. If you don't, we are damned. So where we are firm that we'd rather be accused of doing something rather than folding our arms and drinking tea in our offices.
Sure. Speaking about fighting crime, once again, there's been calls that have been assigned to you for the army to be deployed in response to the scourge of illegal mining in the province. Have you received any response from national government about that? Because it's not the first time that you're calling for this kind of show of force against Zamazamas.
Finally, there's a clear commitment from the highest office in our country. I presented that on behalf of the African National Congress. And I'm very firm. Not only the army. We need all law enforcement agencies, fire capabilities of those law enforcement agencies. If it's the army, if it's the police, if it's the Metro Police, or whoever that has that mandate to ensure that we protect South Africans, they must do so. Gauteng is under siege. under siege from people that are not citizens of this country, under siege from people that can't be accounted, under siege from people that are highly armed, and we expect that that problem can be resolved by police that patrol on a weekly basis. We need all the necessary firepower that this country possesses. And if that includes the army, I'm one of those people to say they must be deployed and they must go down there, flush those people that, because we don't know them. You can't use South African laws of apprehending them, making them to appear in court when you don't even know how they arrived in our country. We must go down there, flush them out, and let the last person stand and ensure that we've got prosperity and peace forever in our country. We can't have people that have closed roads. You go to Ekur Lane, there are no-go areas there. You go to our communities, immediately when it's after 7 p.m., they can't go out and enjoy their lives, and we want to treat these people with kid gloves. It can't be. We can't allow that. Actually, they are harming the economy of our province, and they are harming safety of our citizens in our province. So I was very explicit to the president. He must intervene and unleash that firepower, because we can't tolerate this kind of lawlessness in our province.
Gauteng Premier Panyaza Lesufi, we're going to have to leave it there for today. Thanks very much indeed for your time. Really do appreciate it. Once again.